What is good? What is good? What a crazy week of football. Fancy Matt. What is good, gentlemen?
What's going on?
Howdy, howdy.
Fancy, it's good to have you back after last week's debacle
Oh yeah.
of internet or tech issues, all that crazy crap we had going on. Crazy week of football. Uh, not extremely happy with the results for a lot of
Oh,
fans out there.
Yeah,
Um,
you're not allowed to miss again, Fancy, because I think that's what.
that's what threw us off the rails.
I jinxed it.
Yep.
Yeah, we need Fancy to lock us in here. Crazy week. I mean, a lot of teams that should have won lost. A lot of teams that should have lost won, and we were all over the place. But hey, football. That's all that matters, right? So week 3, excited. Lots of probably matchups that can go either way. Especially one of the things. I mean, it sounds so obvious, but Fancy, me and you say it all the time. It's the NFL. Like it's a coin flip
They're the
every single
pros.
week on who can win. I mean, they come out a little flat, all of a sudden the game is over by the time they even realize they're down 3 touchdowns, and I
Yeah.
think last year was kind of that reality check for us, and it came real early this week, this season of like we don't know who is going to win some of these games. Like there is no such thing as a lock anymore.
Well, and then
Yeah.
it happened actually in the Monday night game too,
Yep,
where
absolutely.
we thought someone had a probably a 97% chance when you're showing the ESPN tracker at the end of the game.
Yep.
Eagles, by all accounts, should have finished that game and won it, and we
Absolutely.
saw that crazy comeback
Yep.
by the Falcons.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So before we dive into our week 3 matchups that'll hopefully do better than we did last week,
Let's try.
I wanted to go over the divisions so far. Obviously, only 2 weeks in, but it is nice just to see kind of how that plays. Obviously, Matt, you had that fun trivia question last week of your percentage of making the playoffs after going 0-1. Some of these teams are now 0-2, which pretty much puts their odds down to what I heard on Red Zone at some point was 2 out of the last 41 teams that have started off 0-2 made the playoffs. So when you keep that in mind, 2 out of the last 41 teams. So that's a crazy it's a crazy stat to think about. So just like, anyone getting on the board, this week, like Atlanta against us, like Washington, it is a big difference.
Big multiplier
Yes,
for
exactly.
odds. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when you look at these teams, I think one team right here, obviously it's week 2, we're not going to be over dramatic about what's going on, right? But I did not expect the Rams to be 0-2. That is the one for me that really, I mean, that team has more injuries than any other team in the NFL right now. Their offensive line is in shambles. Puka, Cooper Kupp, pretty sure Stafford's going to go down this week at this point.
Yeah.
Everything is out the window. And the other thing, I'm not even throwing at you guys because you're NFC North. None of us thought the Vikings on top 2-0. It was even with JJ, we did not think Vikings on top.
Right,
2-0.
not even the right quarterback, and they're
So
still 2-0. So
very, very, very interesting. We're gonna keep this up. We'll probably go. We'll probably look at these every 2 or 3 weeks just to kind of get a feel. It is nice for me when I saw this to kind of like get a visual idea of like sometimes these teams lost twice, but you kind of need to see it like on paper to see like, oh shit,
and to compare your stat though, real quick. So another number that I looked at, and I thought that's the number you were giving us. There are 3 teams. Is a stat that I saw. The 93 Cowboys, the 2001 Patriots, and the 07 Giants still came back from an 0-2 to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, so mine might have been like mine would have been like mine might have been the record since 2000 or something like that. Whatever.
Probably,
I just heard something on the TV. I didn't hear like since when, but it might have been like since 2000. There's only been 2, whatever. That might have been the cutoff,
that makes sense then. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you incorporate in the 90s too, only 3 teams have done it.
Yeah. So I mean, we're looking at the Rams, the Panthers, Broncos, Jacksonville, Colts, Tennessee, Bengals, Ravens, all not making playoffs. And Broncos. I don't know if I said that, but still. I mean, I had the Colts making the playoffs. I had Colts or Jacksonville making playoffs. We all had Ravens or Bengals making playoffs. I mean, those odds are like I'm talking probably less than 10% at the point if we look at the stats in the past years, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
I think ours was a toss up between Ravens and Bengals to win the division.
And we had Joey B with his MVP season.
Yeah,
and they
not
were going to
looking
win.
good right now.
They're going to win it now, right? So I think if I had to play favorites, I think them and the Ravens are probably the two teams that I can still see sneak up in there. They'll probably change. Now, I'm sure if we mark it down right now, which would be a fun thing to do, maybe we will at some point later on, is mark down all these teams that are 0-2 and just see at the end of the year if maybe we added one more team that started 0-2.
Something about Baltimore that I think is really interesting is their next 3 games. Baltimore could start 0-5.
Really? I don't know.
They got Dallas, then the Bills, then Cincy.
Wow.
I mean, and what does that mean? Like, even just looking down that little, I mean, we're not even halfway through the season, and what's the odds of making the playoffs after going 0-5?
Probably none. Probably none. I don't think any team's probably done that before.
Yeah. I mean, we still have to see what the Cowboys actually are because we thought they were going to be able to put up numbers against everybody, and they're not looking great so far the first 2 weeks. So
absolutely,
yeah.
I will say no shock with the Texans there. Texans look great. That's good. I mean, I'm happy for CJ. It's awesome. Best team in Texas. We are a little bit shocked with the Chargers and the Steelers. I'm personally not shocked by the Bills, but I know we all picked the Dolphins, but I still I give Josh Allen a lot of credit. One of the only quarterbacks I think besides Sam Darnold who has not turned the football over and is 2-0. So that's a good stat to look out for. He's controlling the football a lot better this year. Which I mean, we said it. If he can do it, I mean, I think we kind of talked about it before, Matt. Maybe it was me and you that said like with less weapons, like that less diva of like I need the football with Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's just making the plays that he knows is safe and doing what he needs to do to win. Not worrying about if I don't throw the ball to him 10 times, I'm gonna get bitched at, And it's like not excusing the 18, 19 picks that he threw, right? Because I'm sure not all of them were 2 Diggs. But when that's out of your mind and now you're just playing football, the Bills are gonna be a scary team when they're 2-0 and they've played, good, very good football.
I was shocked. I picked the Dolphins, and then when I found out you both picked the Dolphins, and then I asked people at work, and they were like, "I think the Dolphins." Everybody asked, including people at the grocery store. I had one person say Bills. I was like, I kind of did it because I thought everybody would pick the Bills.
Yeah, I think it's just we saw them win week 1, but I don't know if we were all just giving Miami a little bit too much credit on that. You know what I mean? I think we just thought Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, they I don't know. Like, and we just all we see was the Bills. We saw week 1 was Bills. It was Josh Allen show. It was like 4 total touchdowns, like 2 rushing. He was a monster with total yards. And then what we saw this week was him literally controlling the football, being very accurate with the football, and then James Cook just popping off. Yeah, and so and I think that's what we're gonna see is he can step in and be that superhero when they need him to, but they're a dangerous team when they don't need him to do it. You know what I mean? And it's like. It's going to be very, very interesting. Definitely didn't see, this both division standings looking this way through 2 weeks, especially with the amount of 0-2 teams that we do have.
I think the only one we kind of predicted was how bad the AFC South, might actually be. But then, when we looked at the NFC South, we also said the same thing.
Yeah.
And we've got the Saints just all of a sudden lighting it up.
Yeah. So, and who would have thought? So,
I mean, they're close games too. They're really, I mean, for the AFC South.
Yep, absolutely. That'll bring us into our week 3 matchups, though. Like I said, hopefully we will do better this week. Last week, Fancy went 6-10. Me and Matt went 79. We had every single pick, literally. So me and Matt kind of sunk the ship there last week. So we're obviously hoping to do a lot better than 20 and 28 as a pod if my math is mathing. But a lot of those games didn't go the way anyone expected, including Vegas. So not saying that Vegas is always right, but Vegas is always right. But this week, one of the first weeks already that we have 2 Monday night games, which I don't really like. We talked about before. I don't like because I don't get to watch both, and I just don't like it. Like I don't like
the way they stagger it's kind of weird.
I don't. Maybe like a 6:30, 8:15 start.
Yeah, do an East Coast West Coast game, and then start one a little early and start one like 20 minutes late.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll start at
Bastards.
the top. Jets, Patriots tonight when this gets posted. All three of us took the Jets. Obviously, the Jets looked a lot better last week. Aaron Rodgers getting settled in a little bit. Patriots did fall short of Seattle. They actually threw that game. If you guys did watch it, they definitely had
Mhm.
the chance to win that game. So they could be 2-0. We'll see what happens and comes out of the Patriots. But the Jets just look like a better football team on paper. But the Patriots definitely could make us eat those words. Browns, Giants. We all took the Browns. Nothing really to talk about in that one. The Giants suck. And the Titans, Packers. I was shocked that Fancy did not pick the Packers, but he also did it last week and it worked. And that's definitely what he's doing again right now. I did see Jordan Love is questionable to play this Sunday, and they're kind of teetering that idea of him playing, which is interesting. I think they should just keep Malik Willis in. They're 1-1. Don't waste the whole season on that. I don't know what your thoughts on that, Fancy. Don't rush them, right? I mean, why come out and tear something that's going to be season ending when you're 1-1 and you just won last week against a decent football team?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no need to. Levy's is going to literally hand us the ball at least once in the game, and so we can count on our defense scoring there. Yeah, just play it safe. Don't rush them.
Yeah.
And it looks like we can't even gauge the first opening that Friday night with Malik Willis because he threw one pass to the ground, and then the next one was for it all. And it's like, give him some time, and then week 2 we get a win. Not great, but
Yeah, it's better
we
than 0
manage
2.
it.
I think that's where I would be maybe considering Jordan Love because we know the stats we just talked about. The difference
Right.
between an 0-2 and possibly 0-3 would be a big difference. Maybe your season being
Mhm.
done, especially in the NFC North, where you're going to have the Lions. Now the
Yeah.
Vikings are 2-0. You
Div-
didn't really expect that. So I think just keep Malik Willis in. I'm a Jordan Love fantasy owner, so I want him to play, but at the same time, it's like I think
I
Malik
want
Willis can beat the Titans. I think
Yeah.
the Titans are worse than the Colts, so
Give
it's
him a
like if you could
chance.
beat
Give him a
them, give him a
chance.
chance. Then the Colts Bears. Matt, you actually rode the Caleb Williams train, which is interesting. Me and Fancy took the Colts. I just think their offense will outmatch the Bears' offense that only has one touchdown in 2 weeks, and they do have home field advantage. They looked good at home against the Texans, so I'm hoping that they can get on the board in the win column there. But Matt, walk us through the Bears pick there. Is that your new team?
No, I don't know if it's a NFC North. I'm hoping
They are
that
blue.
NFC North, keeps this trend rolling. I want more wins in that division, make us more competitive as we move. But I don't know. I think after the hard fought battle with the Texans, hoping Caleb Williams is starting to come around and learn this offense a little bit better each week. Maybe this, week 3, I see him actually putting a good performance together. Hopefully, is why I see them edging out the Colts.
Yeah. Caleb Williams started the drive 5 for 5 for like 50+ yards. Didn't look good or didn't look bad. If you guys like actually watched the game, he was getting murdered. Like there's videos of his guards like not even touching a soul on a snap. Like
Yeah.
2 guys just going flying past him, not touching either one. I think I was talking about it the other day. The situation that Fields where Trubisky were in was snap the football and they automatically wanted to run. I think this is one of the first situations that I've actually sat down to watch where the Bears have a quarterback who's snapping the football and he's making the right reads and actually wants to sit in the pocket, but has zero time to do so.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what we talked about, Matt, with Joe Alt was there. So that's on them. It's their job now to replace that and fix that, which is one of the toughest things to do in the NFL. So we'll see what the Bears do because they do need to give Caleb Williams some help. Otherwise, he will not be their quarterback for the rest of the season healthy. And then we have the Texans, Vikings. Fancy actually the Vikings here instead of his favorite team in Texas. Yeah, I feel like I don't know about you, Matt, but I feel like the Vikings juice has to wear out at some point. They whooped on the Giants, shocker. And then they beat the 49ers that none of us had happening.
Right.
So at some point they're gonna have to run out of juice, and I just like the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, it always scares me when you have an absolute weapon in Justin Jefferson. Kind of scares me when he's got that thigh contusion right now. That was an explosive.
Yeah, I heard it was a quad bruise or something like that. Like it was something they overplayed it in the media, and it was just like a bruised quad. Like
I mean it's kind of the same thing. Amon Ra was dealing with too. Is basically that's what it is. It's kind of like that stinger you get where they just want to be cautious of it. But obviously that 97-yard touchdown, that's all him. That's all his speed, right? So if he does have a lingering issue, he's not scoring a 97-yard touchdown there. He's not gonna be able to make that move at the, what's like the 15 or 20 where he can cut back on 2 defenders and he still scores that. So that lingering issue scares me a little bit. But we've talked about it. I'm going to keep talking about the Texans' offensive weapons. Nico Collins is just looking absolutely amazing right now.
Number one receiver in receiving yards.
Yeah. So if CJ can keep that rolling, I'm probably going to just keep rolling with the Texans.
It's hard to argue against the Texans. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I do think they're great. I love watching them. I just think you win that first game, no big deal. And then when you beat the Niners, who were in the Super Bowl last year, minus a couple people for sure, but I mean, you're minus people, and you're the Vikings. So it's like, what's really a bigger, I think that can do a lot for team spirit, and I think that can carry a lot more than people are giving it credit to. And I don't think it's they just secretly go up 3 touchdowns like they did on the Niners. And they might even have to come back from behind, but I mean, Sam Darnold he's got time to play now because JJ's hurt, but he might be looking for a spot for next year to settle in.
Yeah, it's his Baker year. That's what I want to keep calling it now. It's his Baker year.
There's a lot of places that are probably going to need something.
Yep, absolutely.
Interesting storyline, obviously. Yeah, if Sam Darnold can keep this rolling, it's very interesting because everybody wrote him off, and now he's getting it done. So
yeah, absolutely.
The next game, Eagles Saints. This is probably the game that was like I literally almost picked the Saints just because I
had to give him the jinx.
Because it was almost just like I would want to be right about something because it's just like I don't know. Like I'm so torn. I didn't go into the game, but it's like I don't know why we're not running the football, but at the same time, like the play worked. Barkley just dropped the football. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's tough because it's like you want, like, if you look at it, it would have ran off 40 more seconds. They score with like 28 seconds, so they wouldn't have had like, what does that drive look like with 40 less seconds? Because you're going to call different plays. You need bigger plays, right? So do the Falcons do that in less time? If Barkley just catches the football, he might even score a touchdown there or just get down, first down, game's over. It's like,
what game was that? What playoff game was that I'm thinking of where it was a 4th down, easily catchable ball, and the running back dropped it?
No, that was when we had Alshon Jeffrey. That was Alshon Jeffrey. Went right through his hands, and he just he just laid on the floor. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it reminded me of. Obviously,
and it's like, and if you look at it, it's like you can keep questioning. I understood. I had my phone was blowing up from Eagles fans that I'm close with, and it's like I get it. Like I don't like the play call either, but you can't tell me the play didn't work. He was wide open, and I mean.
It was the right play call.
Right,
yeah.
He put it right. I mean, Hurts put it on the money, and he just turned his head and dropped. And like, you're paying Barkley to make those catches. He knows they dropped it. He was pissed off about it. It's like that's all you can do. Sometimes I just rather take a loss like that, like we've talked about early on. That way, it's just like, let's get it out of the way instead of going 8 or 9-0 like we did last year and then just fall apart. It's like
it's time to learn from it. You have time to recover.
I don't see the Saints going 3-0, but if they do, it's because our secondary sucks. Like that's.
And Carr is just airing it out, and
that just gets a great matchup for him. We don't have any pass rush, but go Eagles.
I mean, basically, Carr had an outstanding week last week.
2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, he scored more points than about 6 of these teams on this list.
Yeah,
alone.
Fun stat about the Saints before we move on from it is the Saints have had 15 possessions. They've scored all 15 possessions.
Yeah. I saw that.
They have 15 possessions, 15 scoring possessions. Now, that doesn't mean a touchdown every time. That just means field goal. Like, they've scored every single drive that they've had. Every time Derek Carr has snapped the football, he has scored. That's a crazy stat to go into week 3 in. Then we have the Chargers, Steelers. I definitely could have went either way with this. These are two teams that I actually like really like this year. Like I like both teams. They're both teams that we just looked at the standings and they like none of us would have thought they would have started off 2-0, but they're gritty fucking teams. Like,
Yeah,
they're
what
like
is this? 2006?
yeah, they're gritty fucking teams, dude. And they don't have Rivers, they don't have Big Ben, but they have Mike Tomlin and Harbaugh, and I just love it. Like I'm excited. I wish this wasn't a noon matchup. I wish this was a Thursday night or a Sunday night. I wish I could just sit down and watch just this game, like
Yeah.
and dissect it, because I think it's gonna be a defensive like this is gonna be one of those like 12-9 games that where like it's just back and forth, TJ Watt and Joey Bosa. Like it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. But I took the Steelers with fancy. I just I don't know.
Yeah.
I just had
I
Pittsburgh at home.
got my division winning Chargers to just keep this
Rolling.
going. So
Keep your prediction rolling. I like it.
And what's the word on Herbert? He got MRI and he's
questionable, yeah.
but,
As far as
mean,
I heard, it's just
I didn't even know questionable about what ribs.
I think it's foot.
Oh, okay. Because I never heard that. I saw something about MRIs and
or maybe it was his throwing arm or his hand, or I don't know what the hell it was.
I don't either.
Yeah, sometimes like I definitely should look into that, but sometimes if I don't have him on any leagues, I don't. You know what I mean? I'm less.
That's what dictated my decision. I was
Yeah, because I mean, if he does, miss that game, like what you call it, like Matt said, Easton Stick, right? Like,
yep. So dealing with the ankle issue, he missed.
Okay, so that was my first. That's what
he missed today's practice.
Yeah. Which means they'll probably just give him a rest. Yeah, they'll probably just give him
Wednesday's
rest,
a day of rest a lot of the time too, so you never actually know. So
yeah.
Okay.
Bucks Broncos, we all went the Bucks. Nothing to really dive into there. Shout out Baker, shout out Oklahoma, shout out Fancy.
Shout out the Browns for getting rid of him. Thank you.
Raiders, Panthers. We all took the Raiders. Obviously, the Panthers literally might go 0-17. If not 16.
So before this, so Panthers obviously they're sitting Bryce Young, Andy Dalton stepping in. Andy Dalton is 4-0 against the Raiders with 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So obviously
Andy Dalton interception.
So obviously those are different teams. His stat line against the Raiders, but I mean you
can tell me he's 100-0. He's playing for the Panthers this week, so I'm good. Like you can tell me he's literally never lost a game in his career, and that's like Trevor Lawrence who never lost a game in his entire career. He went to the NFL. I'm like, well, the week 1 you better get ready because you are going to lose.
You're about to get hit by a guy that's
bad.
400
I will
pounds.
say something that interesting that I had written down was Bryce Young. Bryce Young, obviously being benched, like you said, Matt, he played 18 games. So they gave him an 18-game leash. Of you played 18 games, we didn't like it, you're benched. Which is crazy when you spend a number 1 overall pick on a guy, and now that mental, not to make this into a whole mental case, but that mental,
no, you're absolutely
can never undo that mental damage that you just caused the kid, because his confidence is shot. He's done. Like with the Panthers, I'm saying not his career. I like the kid.
Yep.
Baker. I don't know if you guys saw Baker though. Baker came on an interview. They talked to him, asked him like any words for him, and he even said like, keep your head up. The road's far from being over. Just keep your head down. Keep doing what they ask you to do. Like the situation will come back and you'll be okay. But what's interesting is Bryce Young 18 games, and then on the other hand you have Daniel Jones this week starting his 65th game. His 65th game. By the way, the Giants became the first team in the NFL last week in history to score 3+ touchdowns, not allow a single touchdown, and lose in regulation.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
It is very impressive.
So the problem, I mean, when I look at Carolina, and they're going to bring in Andy Dalton, Carolina has worse O-line protection or quarterback protection than Chicago Bears.
Nah,
dude, he's getting stomped.
No, I know you're watching it, but I'm telling you, the Bears are literally the most pressured team in the last 5. Like, he's the most stacked quarterback already.
That was a little bit of an exaggeration, but my point is he's absolutely has zero time to develop a play.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
With nobody except for Thielen and Hubbard to even rely on.
Yeah, they try to get in Deontay Johnson. They try. I mean, it's just not.
you have to give him
It's set
time.
up for a failure, and I mean, like they really screwed themselves with that pick. They gave up too much getting Bryce Young, where now Bryce Young has nothing. Like they gave up
Right.
so much. Like that's why the Bears have Caleb Williams and Adunze, and they have every single like they loaded up
Yeah.
on these guys, and it's like Carolina literally is looking back at it like we have Bryce Young. Like last
Yeah.
last year, they literally, if they had the number 1 overall pick still, they trade down a little bit, get more trade capital, draft
Yeah.
Joel. Like you know what I mean, or draft the wide receiver, great Malik Neighbor. Like they get somebody for him.
Yeah,
and they
there's
just,
a lot you
they
could have
screw
done.
themselves up. So,
So
but yeah, I mean, all of us got Raiders, Seahawks, Dolphins, no Tua, Seahawks all the way for all of us.
Yep.
Ravens, Cowboys. Me and Matt went the Ravens. Fancy went to his favorite football team in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys.
Go CD.
Go CD. We'll see what happens. That's going to be a big matchup, especially for the Ravens. Like we said, Matt or Fancy just mentioned they could literally start off 0-5. So it's kind of one of those, they're sitting on the hot seat.
They have a tough road ahead.
Exactly. The 49ers, though, playing the Rams in LA. We all took the 49ers. Rams without Puka and Cooper Kupp. The Rams did not put Cooper Kupp on the IR, which is a good sign because that would have been today. And they did put some other players on there, so that's a really, really good sign that he did not get put on IR. So he'll probably still miss this week, which means they'll be playing with Demarcus Robinson and Jordan Whittington. Which,
hey, Jordan Whittington, shout out local boy. He's
a
from
little Texas Longhorn, baby.
Hey, he's right up the road from me, 30 miles away.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go say hi. And then Lions Cardinals. I'm sorry, Matt. I thought Fancy would honestly be on the side with me.
I thought so too.
Fancy literally took the Cardinals back-to-back weeks, and he took the Broncos back-to-back weeks. So I
took the Lions. I took the Lions last week too.
I know.
I've just
So yeah, Matt. I'll give this one to you. This is kind of your, obviously I'm on the opposite side of it. So
yeah. So the Lions, you don't want to see a loss like we did last week. Definitely preventable. Coach has already owned up to it. He's going to learn from that mistake.
Love that from him.
Of not getting those points at half. That changes the whole dynamic of that end game, right? You don't have to go down and score a touchdown. I think the offense was still humming. They're finding different ways. Amon-Ra was getting involved like they didn't in week 1. I think the loss is kind of like the Eagles, hopefully, are learning from this loss. I think that was a learning experience. I didn't expect it to be in week 2. I was hoping it was going to come.
just like we did, and just like all of us already are out of, in 2 weeks. We lost our predictions of where our losses are going to come from.
Yep. So I think we again every week. I love the positivity of Jared Goff because he's owning up to those decisions. Everything's coming down to it's a learning experience. I'm telling you, these guys are all in on this season. So I think coming off of a loss, especially, I think they're going to hit it even harder. And I think they're gonna be able to beat the Cardinals here.
Nancy?
It was a tough choice. I don't see the Lions losing 2 in a row. As much as I like the Cardinals, I like Kyler. I'm really liking the 1 quarter I saw of Harrison Jr. If we can get more of that action, I mean, I think it was 130 yards or 128 yards in the first quarter and 2 touchdowns, and the effort I saw out of him, absolutely great. But just too many inconsistencies out of that organization, head coach changes, stuff like that. It's like I really like Dan Campbell. I like Goff. I like the trade. I mean, the Lions are for real, and I'm questionable about the Cardinals.
Yeah. Funny enough, Matt, I checked this week in the league that we're both in together. I have played a quarterback that has played the Lions every single week in that league. Week 1, I played Matthew Stafford. Jordan Love got hurt, so he went to the IR. I picked up Baker. Then I went Baker, against the Lions last week. And then my other quarterback is Kyler Murray. So now I have Kyler Murray against. I literally had a quarterback play the Lions every single week this season so far, which is kind of crazy.
What did they perform at? What were those numbers? Just curious.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Pretty good. Like, did they do good, or were they?
Baker didn't do that good. Stafford did really good though.
Yeah.
But for me, Kyler just sent his jersey last week to the Hall of Fame. He was the only with the second quarterback in NFL history to throw over 250 plus, 50 plus rushing yards and have a perfect passer rating. And so the Cardinals are finally clicking. All of his incompletions came to throwing to Marvin Harrison, which Marvin Harrison said he wasn't very happy about. That he needs to do better, which I like that mindset. I just think this offense is finally starting to click. And like you said, it was a disappointing loss, kind of just like the Saints. You know what I mean? With the Eagles, it's like the Saints could probably win that game because they're just hot and they're ready to go. And I think the Cardinals, they kind of see that NFC West opening up with the Rams starting off 0-2.
Niners
the
losing.
Niners 1-1. You know what I mean? And so they know they're going to keep up with it. And I think at home they just keep up that hot streak. And it's nothing against the Lions. I do like the Lions, Matt. You know that, but I think we just never know with St. Brown. Laporta's been really quiet, so that's
Really
just where I
quiet. Yep.
just where I stood. Tight ends in general have been really quiet this year, if we're being honest. Every one of them.
Shout out T Swift's boyfriend.
Facts. Speaking of Sunday night, Kansas City Falcons. All of us took. No, we didn't. Matt took the Falcons. Okay. So Matt's trying to go 6-10. No, I got burnt out 2 weeks in a row. I think last week I took the Bengals too with you, Matt, and I took the Ravens. So literally 2 of my losses this year on the projection thing have been because of the Chiefs, and I'm just no longer doing it. I'm back on the train of I will pick them every week because, like me and Fancy said, there are teams who every single week, like the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Eagles, you just take them every week. That's just what you do. Like you just take them every week, and I'm back on that train, and there's nothing else to say about it. Like that's even without Pacheco, I'm good. Like that's the Chiefs back-to-back Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, I've been saying it the whole time. I've said it with my predictions, my playoff picks, everything. It's the Kansas City is the team to beat, and they figure it out at the right time. The normal time that they do the best isn't the regular season, but this isn't the type of team that they.
Typically, this isn't where they're good at. That's what's interesting is they do look good, and there's no Super Bowl hangover. It's like very interesting. Like
So the reason I went with the Falcons here is I saw it in the comeback against the Eagles. Kirk Cousins is 23 fourth quarter comebacks, 29 game-winning drives. You saw that 2-minute drill. You saw how surgical he was, gave them the opportunity to win it. The problem here is if Kansas City has the ball at the end of the game, that Mahomes is going to go down and score. So that's the difference. So I guess I just tipped towards the Falcons side because I saw that out of him. They got it together, and I saw that 2-minute drill out of him, and he has that ability. I think this is one of those games that has that opportunity to come down to that last possession again. I hope that it doesn't, it's not Mahomes that has that last drive, because there's going to be a flag thrown to extend the drive. There's going to be a call in his favor no matter what. So as long as the Falcons have another opportunity in that fourth quarter, that's why I leaned Falcons here.
Yeah, I mean, and as a if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, you're relieved last week. Like if they start off 0-2. Kirk didn't look that bad, but there was a couple throws. Fancy, me and you text that one time. He just launched that motherfucker into the stands. Like I was like, I don't know where that football. Like we literally was like Joe. Like it literally texted her like Joe. Like is that Flacco on the field? Like I mean, he launched that thing. I was like, good lord. But he even talked about it in the interview, and that's what I like about him is like I like him as a person. He's always honest. He's always very open about things. And he said that like he's not 100%. He's not like he cannot put as much pressure on that back heel or that right Achilles that he tore last year that like he used to be able to. He's not comfortable doing it yet. And he even said that. He said it in the post game. He says still got to be better. I saw a stat that with the Vikings he played out of the play action like a certain percentage, and in the 2 weeks with the Falcons he hasn't played out of play action once. He's been under shotgun the entire time, which makes him vulnerable just sitting in the pocket. And that's why the Eagles couldn't get to him. They couldn't get to him in the last that's not why they couldn't get to him. It's just surprising that they couldn't get to him because he stayed stable. Like it was one of those Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Rivers,
immobile.
Just I'm talking field general, big arms, like strong arm slinger. Like that's all there's no mobility to him. And so that's where I think Chris Jones comes in and makes a big impact. I think one thing that we skipped over, not to go back to the Lions game, but Aiden Hutchinson 4.5 sacks, unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable.
And I swear they gave him that half sack I mean, maybe they can always stat correct if they really want to set
Yeah,
the
they
record.
like dissect it pretty hard on those. Like they send it back to the thing and they get all technical with it.
To me, I know when they looked at it and they were giving him a half sack on that one. I swear he had the tackle already done before the second guy comes in, but I think the stat kind of stands as they both made the tackle at the end of the day. So I think that's why it's split. But he could have been setting a record there with 5. But
yeah. And then we go to Monday night, like we talked about. There's 2 games this Monday, 7:30 and 8:15. So we have a 45-minute thing. So they'll probably be like after like mid second quarter, probably at some point, or maybe through the first half, depending how quick the game goes. We all took the Bills. We all took the Bengals. Nothing really to talk about in the matchups. Honestly, I think the Bengals just get their first win. I think the Commanders are the Commanders, and Jaguars are really struggling right now.
What do they need? What do the Jaguars need? What are we seeing there?
I don't know.
I mean,
they lost the Dolphins, the actual Dolphins, so that's a fair, that's a fair loss. And then they lost to the Browns, and the Browns are a good fucking team that we thought that was going to make playoffs. So
Myles Garrett, we can't. As much as we want to show Deshaun Watson, we cannot forget about the Browns defense.
Yeah, that's what I mean is like they lost to a good Dolphins team, and then they lost to the Browns defense. Like, and that to me is not bad 2 losses. Like, I don't think their 2 losses are like hit the panic button. You know what I mean? I think it's like they do need to win this week. They do need to win this week. So out of the 2 games, I got to be honest with you, that's probably the game that I'll watch. Referring to the Bills game. Yeah. And then at half, I'll switch over to the Bengals, check out that game or whatever. But I do think this is gonna be Joey B, Jamar Chase's breakout game of like
they need it.
This is like they're not on the same page. Jamar Chase is getting fucking flags, and it's all over the place. So, with that being said, talking about players, last week Matt got his first win on DraftKings. Round of applause for Matthew.
Thank you.
Not only did he do that, and he did that with 2 people not even playing. So realistically, me and Fancy weren't going to say it. We let you win this week, but we were trying to do our best. And
I'm just glad because you guys were being a-holes and didn't let me swap out, even though it was the Monday night.
That wouldn't be fair because Fancy got second place like 100 times last year when he had like 4 people out because they got ruled out.
So here's I'm pleading my case on our episode. Okay. It's a Monday night matchup. He was not designated. It was a complete surprise. There was plenty of time. There was 3 days to swap out a guy. I wanted to just swap him out for another receiver in that game. I think I should have been allowed to do that. Now, if it's a 1 o'clock and it's someone that I'm risking because they have an injury and they're questionable, I think you're right. That's on me. But I think because we still had the potential to shift it and I wasn't doing anything crazy, it was just going to be the other receiver. I think I should have been allowed to do it. So I think karma was just on my side that they just, they let me have the win already with even not swapping them out.
That's fine. You can make your case when it's your turn, but I mean, Fancy fucking dealt with it like 6 times last year and didn't use
and I mean, it's one of those things like, it didn't, I mean,
that's Fancy's first third.
That's my first third. That's my first under 100, I think, also. I think so. I don't remember. I think so. I also think this is our lowest as a group.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I mean, that's definitely a really low winner. I mean, it's a low winner with 2 guys out. So like,
if I would have had Smith in there, then it would have been a normal matchup.
I mean, at least. That's just the way we do it. That's the way we did it all last year. So just because it happens to you now, don't mean the rules change.
I disagree with it last year. I'm going to continue.
No, you didn't. You didn't say nothing about Fancies.
No,
not
it's
once.
Okay. But what I look at is like when I see like Zach Ertz, who's 100 years old, and he's playing for the Commanders. He's playing for the Commanders. He gets 10, which is not too bad for a tight end, and I don't get a fire. I'm like, dude, he got points. Give me a fire.
I know he was like the lowest price,
but I got you.
He was like the lowest price point, and then he actually gets
maybe one of our worst weeks for defense too.
Oh my god! I managed to get one, and I checked it middle of the Cowboys ass whooping, and I was -3, and I was just like, I was already third place with like a little sliver of red left. I was like, I got like 1 person to play tonight, and the Cowboys are taking points away from the 4 points they're going to get. So this is not going good at all.
The only good picks we had all week, if we're all being honest, I mean, Montgomery obviously was a good pick. So was Jacobs. But in terms of like difference makers, me and Matt with Dobbins, I had Godwin, and Matt, you had Neighbors. But other than that, we really, like that's just how bad of a week we had, and that's just us
Yeah.
owning it. Week 2, in terms of predictions, in terms of players, we just didn't hit it, and that's just that was the week that the NFL'd us. Like that's just
Yep.
how it played out, and so lots of
Na-
ice.
Neighbors did go out of the game for a little bit for a wrist, right? Everything's good on him.
I didn't see anything on that.
I thought he just went to the side. I remember because I was watching it because it was the most absurd game probably of the week, and I
But
heard
like I
something
said,
about Neighbors.
Giants, first team,
Yeah.
to score 3 touchdowns, not let up one and lose ever.
When you see the Redskins win with only field goals after they got rid of their rookie 4,000-yard quarterback who was what top 5 all season long last year, it's like, was that the right move?
I mean, I don't think it's. I think Jane Daniels. I mean, he's still taking the care of the foot. I think he still looks like the best rookie quarterback. Like so.
Sure, maybe he looks like the best rookie quarterback. Right? I mean,
But I'm saying, like,
you had a
he's just gonna
4,000-yard
get better.
rookie.
His first 2 games reminded me a lot of Lamar Jackson's first 2 games, where he didn't turn the football over, which I think being a rookie,
Very important.
very important. I mean, just
Shout out Peyton Manning.
He's just you know he's taking care of the football. He's going through his reads. He's learning a lot, and to me, you know,
I don't mean this to shit on Jaden Daniels.
right.
I'm just
No,
saying
I'm just saying, like,
4,000-yard
it's definitely
rookie
debatable.
season,
It's just
and then you kick 7 field goals. I'm like, you're not getting in the end zone, but you had a quarterback that could throw touchdowns last year.
Yeah,
that kept up with the seasoned vets. It's like, I just think that's in my mind. I'm like, I mean, that's a ballsy move, and I think that's who the Dolphins should go after.
Yeah,
get a little Sam Howell action, someone that can sling it to Waddle and Tyreek.
Yeah, that or Bryce Young. Sure, go trade for Bryce Young.
Oh yeah.
Someone all right, and then we got this
murdered.
week's, which was funny, Matt, because last week when we did it, I literally told you it's probably like one of my most confident lineups. Like when I looked at it, I felt
I loved it. I loved it too.
yeah. No, I literally, when I texted to Matt, he was like, "Fuck you, you're literally gonna win again." Like he literally said it like after I sent it to him, and I felt really good about it. And that's literally how it works, man. And so this week I kept it simple. Derek Carr going against my Eagles, #1 quarterback in fantasy. Crazy that he's only at 5,800. Like that's unbelievably like underrated, especially going against a defense that has a very crappy, shitty secondary. Coming from an Eagles fan, and then my highest paid player on the thing, Achane and Cook. I like both those guys. I like my running backs on this a lot. Cook, Mason, Achane, and then Shaheed, who's been great. I just did the little bubble with Carr. I know they have Olave, but Shaheed's had those bombs, and that's basically what the Eagles have been letting up. And so that's why I really like that. Because I mean, I think he's had like literally like a 50+ yard touchdown on both games.
Yeah,
like,
he's breaking loose. He's breaking loose on that long ball.
He's the boomer bust for me right now. Like that's the guy that's either going to get me 15, 20 points or he's going to give me 0, and I'm okay with that.
Shaheed. That's who you said?
Yeah, Shaheed. Yep.
Okay.
And then Thielen for me and Matt. It's funny because I was literally picking my tight end and flex, and then you texted me saying Thielen might get 15 catches. I was like, that means you went with him too. Like I was literally like fixing it for you, and I was like, that means you went with him too. So I didn't want you to think I just picked him because you said it, but I literally had him on there at 5K. I was like, he's gonna get thrown at like 100 times. Like
yes,
he's the reliable guy. And then JMO, I really like, and Bears defense. I'm glad to see Fancy went with them too. I feel like it was pretty cheap, especially for the Colts.
Oh my god, what a bargain!
And the Bears defense has been very very good.
Let's say 26 or 28.
Yeah, 26.
That's real low.
That's why I have some $6,000 people.
Yeah, I think that's why like mine's probably the most where I've had like 6. This is my most 6,000 or more lineup because the Bears defense was so cheap, and so was Derek Carr, 5,800 for the #1 passing yard leader. Like, okay, sounds good. So
yeah.
I was very surprised you guys didn't go with a Derek Carr too. But yeah, that's my lineup. So
I mean, you guys said it. Washington, Cincinnati. This is the revenge tour, especially after some upsetting penalties, good or bad calls. We're not going to get into that. Burrow comes back. He proves the blonde hair was worth it. And then I got Jamar Chase, my most expensive purchase of the year, at 7,500. Thanks to my defense that opened that up. I got Jones. I do like him. He's not going to fumble a bunch. He is going to be a lot of help. And red zone, where it's going to get a little bit tighter with the Houston defense, you got to have him. Swift, it's Indy. I mean, if I mean, you give Caleb Williams any kind of time at all, I think it's going to be a connection. Jamar Chase definitely going to be a connection. I think those two are going to combine me. Like if I win this week, it's going to be because of those two. Cooper against we got the Giants.
Always a
Deshaun
great
Watson's
matchup to target. Yeah, I mean, I like that.
Deshaun Watson's looking better. The team overall is getting better. My only problem is I'm afraid we might shut the Giants down enough that they're not going to be throwing the ball much. Tank Dell against me. I mean, Tank Dell's solid, man. I do want to caveat all of this saying my service at work is terrible. I didn't ever get the push notification that the thing was ready. I had to go to the app. I had to find the bell, like you guys said, and I was trying to cram this in and get it sent out so we can make the graphic. While I was at work, and I didn't do the best research. Goddard, as far as tight ends go, we said it earlier, it's been slow. I do like the Eagles, a little check down.
Yeah.
He's gonna be there. He can get some yards. Metcalf against Miami. I mean, dude, he's good, man. Bag of Skittles and a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So
I mean, interesting matchup, him and Jalen Ramsey.
yeah.
Yep.
I will say,
So-
Fantasy's got some of the lowest fantasy point per games I've ever seen. Swift 6 points, Chase 9, which obviously Chase should be better than 9.
Yep.
Then Mark Cooper 3.9, Tank Dell 5.6.
I'm gonna get
Goddard
some
7.
fire. I'm gonna get some fire this time.
I'm like,
they're gonna have
good
7
Lord.
points.
Fantasy's going for the fucking cold plunge, the ice bath. He's going
Yep.
for a complete ice.
Yeah.
No,
I know it's either going to be all ice
he'll
or
get some fire with Burrow.
I'm gonna have a 200-point game. Let's see.
yeah?
no. I
lineup.
love that stack of Burrow and Chase because like we talked about, like they got to get things right. They got to be on the same page. But that's a lot of money for quarterback and wide receiver if they have a limited game or they're blowing them out and they just run the football. So good luck. But yeah, that you're gonna have to wait. The problem is you're gonna have to wait till Monday night for your.
He wants us to
for-
witness it.
Oh
your
yeah,
team.
I need y'all wondering.
All right, so I went with here was my. I picked Goff the first week, and they won. I didn't pick him the second week, and the Lions lost. So maybe just for the Lions win, I'm gonna pick him again here. So I kind of do I did it last time too. My stack is our quarterback and running back. I like Gibbs. I like the explosive plays that he can have there. So that's why I went with him. Saw with Spears being a little banged up, Pollard actually did a decent job in the backfield for Tennessee. I think they can still run the ball.
Pollard's actually been really good this year.
Yeah. So that to me it's a sneaky price at $6,000 for him. I think he's got a good opportunity.
Got him.
And then so my philosophy on I know you saw the numbers for
I didn't go Godwin. Yeah, this is the first week I didn't go Godwin.
You saw Godwin just put up some numbers. The reason I was gonna go Evans as a bounce back game, but then you look at the matchup. So you're gonna have Patrick Surtain against and it might still be a good matchup. I expect him to lock down Mike Evans. That's going to free up Chris Godwin for this matchup. So that's why I went with him instead of Evans. Malik Neighbors, hopefully that wasn't his just, anomaly week last week. I want to see that, that's his weapon. That's Daniel Jones isn't doing much, but
yeah, I was thinking about it. The price just scared me at 6,400. Like you're looking at a guy that he's only had one good game, and now he's going against the Browns, who just shut down Trevor. And I'm just like, I like Trevor Lawrence a lot better than Daniel Jones. So it's like if they're shutting him down, I think the Browns defense is hot. That's why I was just like, man, if it was lower, I just like J-Mo at 58, and then Shaheed at 53. I was like, I'll take those guys. Like I was looking Neighbors. I'm like, man, 64. I just can't. I couldn't pull the trigger.
So before I'll skip over Thielen because you already talked about him. Other than Andy Dalton stepping in, he's going to have that reliable reception with Thielen. I did the double tight end again, probably because I'm running out of money, like always.
Yeah,
I
your
guess.
first 5 were over $6,000.
That's what was interesting. Like when you were like, it's a lot of money that Fancy out Burrow Chase, and I was like thinking about it. I'm like, bro, you constantly pick a quarterback that's like 6,500. You have an AJ Brown at like 8K every week. It's like I'm like Jesus. Like it's like and then AJ Brown's price went up last week. Literally, you had a big quarterback and then 8,200 for AJ Brown. I'm like,
hey,
man.
And he won.
Yeah, we had to give it to him.
So So I went.
Yeah, that's one thing. We might as well just name Matt's team double tight end. Like he
Double
always.
tight end.
I think that every week so far he's done double tight end. Every
I
week.
have.
And tight end's
So-
so low scoring this week or this year.
So Brock Bowers,
Number one tight end.
his rookie numbers are insane so far. So I look at matchup again there, Carolina. So I love him in my flex. I'm kind of with you there though. If Cincinnati has a great game, Joe Burrow is throwing the ball. Gesicki had a bunch of targets last week. If they can keep that going, I think my tight end, the double tight end, might pay off here.
Yeah, those are the two tight ends that I do like going into this week. Bowers shockingly, I mean, rookie out of Georgia, nothing but potential coming out of the draft for him, obviously. I mean, number one tight end in the league right now. Very, very, very interesting to see how all of that has played out with us so far. We do have our 3-leg parlay. Matt, you wanna let everyone know what happened last week, or?
I mean, we didn't hit it, but
Mhm.
no. So
No,
all right.
I'll tell you what, Matt, you broke it down. You said it perfectly, right? Plus 500, almost plus 600 on all of these. First week, Dalton Kincaid, you loved it. I loved it. I mean, no idea why I didn't get the football. On all honesty, last week, Fancy hit CeeDee Lamb. I hit -2 Commanders. Right on. I mean, then they won by 3, so it's kind of perfect line there. And then, like you said, St. Brown gets hurt literally on the goal line. Like that's it's inches away from hitting one of these. If you ride this parlay with us every single week and we hit 1 out of 5 weeks, it pays for itself, right? So we're coming super close. It's not like we're going 0 for 3 or 1 for 3. I mean, we are one away here.
This is the week. This is the week right here.
We're taking it serious. No, now it's Fancy's turn to fucking lose one. My pick is Chris Boswell over 1.5. I think it's going to be a kicking game. We've seen every single Steelers game. He's kicked 8 field goals in 2 games, 6 in the first, second, or 2 in the second. So he's averaging, 4 a game, literally. So that line being at over 1.5 at -110, I absolutely love it. Matt, Aaron Jones, anytime touchdown. Fancy, you just literally nailed it on the head that he's going to get some goal line carries in that Texans game. They're going to have to push him in there if they want to keep up with Houston and Houston's defense. And then Fancy, you took the over 40 on the Broncos Bucks. Shout out Baker. You can literally, it's like perfect. You can just see Baker like at the top of the screen. I don't know if you saw it. It was like perfect. All you saw was Baker. So that's $25 at plus 587 to win pretty much 172. So if we hit this one, it'd pay for the rest of the $75 that you bet, and you'd be up $100. So we will hit this one, but yeah. So pray for us. We got one last thing to do, and it is everyone's favorite time, trivia with Matt.
Welcome into trivia time. All right, this week I wanted to do. You kind of hit it, the field goals. I wanted to give you that trivia. I ended up steering away from that. Instead,
KickFL.
What's that?
We're gonna call it the KickFL for now.
I know. Yeah, I wanted to give you those numbers.
140 field goals and 2.
But instead, let's do one that I think you guys can walk through. Half the teams are in these 7 states. So I need you guys to name the states with 2 or more NFL teams.
Texas, California, New York, Florida.
Just rattling them. All right. Go ahead.
Ohio.
Texas. Go ahead and start over. I mean, because you were just.
I'm sorry. Texas, California.
Yep.
New York, Florida, Maryland, I think, because I don't know if you count Washington there or not. Ohio. How many was that?
Jake,
5?
who's he missing?
I was just gonna let him go.
Let him go.
Let him go. Let him just. How many does he have right now?
5.5.
5.5.
Okay,
say
so
it was a half.
that means
California?
the Ravens are sharing. Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the Maryland. Yep, Pennsylvania. So where's your half point, Fancy?
I mean,
It's a technicality.
it's gonna be
It's the stadium is not located in that state.
right. Jersey.
There you go.
Uh,
Yep. For
'cause they
some
got
reason,
Gillette and MetLife. Yeah.
because they have that stadium and it's in New Jersey. So it's the New York teams, but the state that it's in is actually New Jersey.
Oh, that's why you
Yeah.
give him the half. I was like, wait
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah.
No, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I was like, what? I'm like half. Like,
No, you were rattling
is
through those.
California
Though.
that bad, or it's kind of as a half state now? Like, I'm like,
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting,
oh yeah,
number to look through because there's literally half the league in these 7 states. So
yeah. When you think
Yeah.
about it, like, I mean, that's.
and then you've got to be some of these states.
I think people forget that like Cincy and Cleveland are like in the same.
That's
Like,
Ohio.
I think that people. I genuinely do think people forget that. Like, I think
Yeah.
when like they play each other, I don't think people realize how much they hate each other because
It's
the
East
same-
Ohio and
Yes.
West Ohio.
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
it's like the worst thing possible, dude. It's like
Yeah.
it's like I don't think they realize how like I don't know. I think people definitely sleep on that. Like obviously it's easy, geography, but like it's like dude, they
Fun fact:
definitely
team with the smallest city population,
really.
Green Bay. The Green Bay,
Oh yeah,
109,000,
Green Bay's got the
102,000 people.
smallest people,
They've got the smallest
smallest
amount of them.
fans.
They have the smallest amount of huge, giant, big wing.
Matt, what was that? Diak. What's that?
Yeah.
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 So
So
yeah, that was hopefully like we said, a lot better week this week for us. Wasn't me and Matt messed each other that Monday night. We were not very happy, but bad weeks happen. So we kind of jinxed ourselves there, man, because we were talking about how we're always like 10-6 at least or whatever. And I think last week
Yep.
was just that punch in the gut of like, you don't know football, So
And I feel like we didn't have. I don't think last year in our picks we had a week that was that bad.
never.
So
No, I don't think we did either. That's why it was definitely a shocker.
I had weeks like that, but my upsets would have covered the losses.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we didn't really bet against anything crazy, and that's the crazy week that was happening. That happened. So
I think they said 70% of the money, 71% of the money was on Baltimore.
yeah, and I think 90% was on the Eagles. So it happens, man.
It's not like it's not rigged.
No, not rigged at all. But that's all I got. You guys got anything else?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited for tomorrow night.
Yeah. Well, tonight, technically.
Tonight, I'm ready for tonight. Yeah, tomorrow night too. Tomorrow night
tonight
too. There's
and
college
tomorrow night.
football I want to watch.
All right, but yeah, let us know down in the comments if you guys are gonna tell our parlay. Leave notifications on and check our other socials. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and that's all we got for you guys. So we will see you next week. Later.
see ya.
Bye.